On this exact day, Liverpool had the famous slip. Well, at least Steven Gerrard had the famous slip, and they lost the Premier League. And it looks like it's business as usual for Liverpool 7 years on. Hi, and welcome to the All Balls channel.
Today we have with us my very close friend Marmin Paul. There are signs of nervousness on his face because he's going to get a spanking when the Liverpool game comes across. But first, the Arsenal defeat. Carl, Everton's first double over Arsenal since 85-86. How does it feel?
Well, it's quite a feat for Carlo Ancelotti, especially. He's a man who's basically created the first time to create a double over Liverpool and Arsenal. So for him to lead Everton to such a decent phase, it looks pretty interesting. But again, Arsenal, they shot themselves in the foot. A Bernd Leno horror mistake by Bernd Leno.
Do you think you deserved anything from the game, though?
I think the offside call before the penalty, even though I still feel the penalty was a bit weak, although a lot of my friends and people say, neutral people say that. I know, but people say contact is contact. I think Ceballos made a meal off of it. I think any purist would normally say that, but a lot of people also were saying that it should have been a penalty. But the offside call, dodgy. Again, it's another questionable offense by VAR.
No, it's not off. It's
I don't know.
You can't. That's like I said, it's a stupid offside rule. But at the end of the day, yeah, it is offside. But do you deserve anything? You think you need?
I would probably say we kind of felt we deserved at least a point out of it. But I give credit to Everton. They looked like they wanted it more. Richarlison and Dominic Calvert-Lewin got a lot more closer. They looked a lot more hungrier compared to our attack. So fair play. Although it was just a shame that the way the goal came was kind of sad. It just kind of disappointed everyone. No one was expecting someone of a caliber, Bernd Leno, to pull off such a mistake. So I guess it's just onwards and upwards, and we're going to be mid-table mediocrity for this season. So yeah.
But I called it. I called it in the pre-show that Everton will come out with a win because they will come out guns blazing.
Though while I was watching the game, it just seemed like they wanted it more. Like even after you all went a goal down, like no real.
Yeah, it was just Arsenal again. Like the moment we go a goal down, and I've noticed that on most occasions that we just drop our shoulders the moment we go a goal down. Like you don't really see a lot of people that are inspired to push further and stuff like that. Probably barring the younger players, but there's only so much they can do, So again, there's something to do with mentality. There's something to do with positivity in this club, which they really need to fix. I think Arteta still seems like the right man for the job, even though mathematically he doesn't seem to be doing that well, and he's also walking on thin ice. So it's very thin ice. But again, right now, even if you look at the market, I really think that we should just stick to him and see what we have. But there's got to be something that has to change in the attitude and the atmosphere of that club, because barring what has happened in the past couple of weeks with the ESL and things like that, and now there's also about the whole guy from Spotify trying to buy with Bergkamp, Vieira, and Henry. That kind of unsettles a lot of situations in the club. So they just need to get their crap together. And like I said, I'm just going to give this season away and just believe that we're going to be mid-table mediocrity.
Next year.
You have two positives from the game. You're finally joint top with something, which is own goals with West Ham. Yeah, and the other positive, I think, is Martinelli. That these are your only two takeaways from the game.
Martinelli looks like a good.
Yeah, he does look like a good player, and it still kind of confuses me as to why Arteta doesn't play him. And we even now have Folarin Balogun, who also signed a new long-term contract with the club, and he's also a really good, young, exciting young prospect. And I am still puzzled as to why he's not getting game time. Like whenever he's also had his chances, he's had his opportunities, he's scored or he's played well. So I guess now that we know that we are confined to this position, that we're going to be mid-table, there's no chances for Europe, even if we hustle as much as we can. Just blood the younger players, just give them the opportunities. How badly could it go from here onwards, So, I don't know, I might be digging myself for a hole here when it comes to Arsenal when I say something like this, but I just think what's there else to lose besides probably a relegation battle?
So sad.
Hey, this is the life of an Arsenal player, man. What do you expect? We get to Liverpool and we have to...
He's laughing now. Wait, no, there's going to come a time.
Don't worry,
his legs will shake and his heart will pump. But yes, good win for Everton, who are potentially in a position to overtake Liverpool, who we'll talk about in our
Yeah.
next game in the table with a game in
Everything is
hand.
there is only
That's
leads to a
And-
Liverpool thing.
And
that's the
well,
only way to shut you up. No?
but yeah,
So
kudos
yes,
again.
1-0
It's Everton
Everton.
I think it's Everton who's going to push for Europe. So yeah, good job for them. And in our next game, it was Liverpool hosting Newcastle. A one-all draw with with a lot of late drama that ensued thanks to Joe Willock's late equalizer. Mamin, what's your thoughts on that game?
I think the reason why Rahul is wearing shades is because he can still see the glare from through. He's not seen it in a long time. So,
I actually put it down so that I can see all on the table because here I can't see all. Now when I put it down, I look lower, so I can find you on the table. What happened? Champions of England, Bugger?
like you're the
No.
first.
1 second. How much you spoke? Champions of England and Newcastle you can't beat.
I mean, we are champions of England, so let's not
And
forget
then
that.
what happened? After that, but champions of England.
There's no need to yell. I know it affects you a lot.
Okay, you guys can go through
It
the whole
does.
brick match, but let's get back to the points of the match.
Tell me.
So now there is a really
I
good
want to
chance
wait.
that Liverpool can still
I
qualify.
have this very amazing. Yes, I have this very amazing stat for you, Mom and Paul. Liverpool had 69% possession, 22 shots, 9 on target, and created 15 chances. And you end up conceding an equalizer to an Arsenal reject who's on loan to a club that's almost relegated.
I mean, there's no excuse, but
You don't have one.
to be honest, now let's cut the banter. Okay, but to be honest, it was all the past 3 games of Liverpool have all been the same. We played well against Madrid, Leeds, and Newcastle. It just can't score. That's just the problem. Like, I used to always think the defense was the problem. The defense is a problem in the sense that they usually man mark and these guys can't do it. But these guys have just lost their juice up front. Like it's Mane looks like a different player. He's not cutting edge. He's bad in front of goal. He doesn't look like he's going to score only. So I think that's mainly the.
Well, I kind of disagree because I mean, you guys do have a fine attack. You guys have, I mean, on their day they're dangerous. They're like wolves. And shout out to Mohamed Salah. I mean, he's the only player like to consecutively score 20 goals in 3 seasons in a row. So I mean, you do have proven goal scorers. There are people who can fire. I think it's more of your issues with the defense. And I know that y'all have had an injury list. Y'all have had problems with players coming back from injury and also being injured and stuff like that. Y'all have bought stopgap efforts to be.
I agree with the fact that there's a problem in the defense, but we've actually, like, this stat is just 22 shots. We've actually taken like 150 shots and we've scored like some 5 goals from it. Like it's some ridiculous.
And especially at Anfield. What I fail to understand, which I want to ask you as a Liverpool fan, is that you had an attack last season which was devastating in terms of Mane, Firmino, Salah. You've added to that attack by getting Diogo Jota, who has been probably your best player all season, keeping Salah aside and the number of goals he scored. But in terms of creating chances, growing into the game, dominating a game, Jota has been more effective than Salah. Salah's only been effective probably in putting the ball in the net. And let's face it, you and me have both seen that he's missed some sitters. So then you have added to this. You have added to this by buying arguably the best midfielder in the world.
Yeah.
At that point of time, in the form he was in, the form he was coming out of, the kind of football he was playing. After you have got these 2 players,
get to the what is the question?
No, the question is, after getting so much and after having developed such a team, you've still gone and you shat all over this season.
Jota not scoring was actually
the point is,
Jota didn't even know.
No, but it's
I bought him in the fantasy team. Didn't score. It was all my fault. Jota's wondering why
you have to get beyond. Yeah, but you have to get beyond saying we don't have a defense, we don't have a defense, we don't have a defense.
Yeah,
if you don't have a defense, you'll concede 4, but you'll score 6, no?
Very bad attack.
Where is it going wrong?
Hey, but guys, fair credit to Martin Dubravka, who pulled out 8 saves in the game. So it's not like it wasn't for the lack of trying. It's just that there was also a pretty decent goalkeeper between the sticks who was also parrying away their shots. So, I mean, he had a pretty good afternoon as well.
for a guy who scored 20 goals in 3 seasons, I would probably expect him to put that chance away.
True.
Yeah, but
I'll
like
agree with
Salah is someone he'll miss like a couple of chances, but the Mane misses, yeah, like it's getting every game, like every game he misses like a good chance, which is driving me mad. But at the end of the day, he's still like, I think he's just going through a blip. So hopefully,
Yeah, but
I think the biggest problem is
What about Callum Wilson's little situation towards the end where he
yeah.
thought he had gotten
I
the
think it was a
and the
fair
VAR
decision. I think it was a fair decision. He did use his hand. So yeah, but then again, I mean, Carl, you can relate to this when I say it, but Munez comes off the bench
I
and
mean,
he
Joe Willock
buried
is
it.
again. He's again like I think this is just becoming the season for players who just flourish on loan. We've seen the what do you call resurrection of Jesse Lingard, and now we're seeing this also slowly
Lingard,
happening
you've
to Joe
seen
Willock.
Minamino, you've seen Willick.
Minamino, yeah. So I mean, it seems to be a really good season for players on loan, and I hope this trend continues.
So,
we'll see.
Maman, one last
We still got
question
a
for you.
fighting chance
Where,
for Champions League, so let's see what happens.
but yeah, that was my next question. Are you going to be playing Tuesday, Wednesday nights or Thursday nights?
Depends. If they're playing Thursday night, we'll see you in the round of 32. So depends.
Oh,
this
you're
season.
so cute. No. We are second and way ahead of you and way ahead of fourth place. So it's good. We're playing in the Champions League next
If I
season.
pick up this Manchester United team and I put you in any year, you're still third. You're second.
That's okay. That's okay. We're talking about this year. We are not having this conversation in 2017. I will publicly bow down to you if United come out of the Champions League this season and they don't finish in the top 4.
Next season.
Okay, bye.
In our next feature, West Ham succumbed to a goal by Chelsea and Timo Werner finally getting his shooting boots on. Rahul, finally, we got to see a goal from Timo Werner.
I cannot believe that when we started the season, I was asked who is going to win Golden Boots, and I said Timo Werner.
Oh.
And while he did score, but what happened after that? That was atrocious. That miss.
I think I remember
the rebound miss.
Yeah.
Miss.
And to add to all of that, you can say Chelsea probably played the better first half or a decent first half, but West Ham were all over them in the second half. The red card I don't know what to say about it. It brings us back to the point where VAR is killing the game. I mean, the guy is clearing the ball on the follow through, gets Chilwell, and the referee goes across to the screen, sees it, and still gives a red card. I mean, it's atrocious. Some of these decisions are they're just crazy.
Yeah, Maman, would you like to point out about the Balbuena red card? Because again, it was something that killed the game.
I was stunned when he went to the screen and he still gave it a red card. Like, I couldn't believe it. Because it is so evident that it was not what he intended to do. It was so evident he was trying to kick the ball and he was caught on the follow through, and it was so unintentional. And the fact that the referee has gone to the screen and still given him a red card, it's a disgrace.
And they've lost 2 centre halves in 2 games to red cards. So problems for West Ham now fighting for Europe. Whereas Chelsea, on the other hand, again, I used to call Crystal Palace a one-man team. Chelsea is slowly getting there because it's just Mason Mount. If you look at stats of the game, Mason Mount, most tackles, most shots, most this, most that. It's Mason Mount. He's going to tire.
He had some good shots also in the game. That was good save.
Yeah, and he was all over the place. And Chelsea, yes, they're keeping clean sheets. It's great. They've kept 29 clean sheets. They've not conceded. Tuchel's gone unbeaten in 7 away games. But again, it was a 1-goal, 2-goal game with Chelsea. There are no goals. Yes, they've got that little gap at 4th place now between 4th and 5th. But it's not like a huge gap. Couple of games can change that. So Europe, again, top 4 looks still in the balance for Chelsea, considering they're playing a Real Madrid in the Champions League, who are, let's face it, it's now Chelsea are the underdogs in that fixture.
True, and also the remaining games for Chelsea are quite tough. They have City, they
Yeah, they play
have
City, I think, on the 8th of May.
Arsenal, Villa away. So
That's Arsenal, what?
Hey, you do know the last
Mid-table
time we
mediocre
played,
sides.
yeah, but you know the last time we played, we did beat them. But then again, as you mentioned, though, Chelsea has a really strong watertight defense under Tuchel's management, and being the highest in Europe with 29 clean sheets, as you mentioned, out of 37 matches is quite the feat. And yeah, they might struggle with a team like Real Madrid because of course they have quite a quality attack. But that's a discussion for a different day. But do you honestly think that this is now the team that Tuchel has finally galvanized together, and he knows that now that he
I
can get people like Timo Werner, firing through?
I don't know. See, again with Timo Werner now, it's an interesting stat. He's got 20 plus involvements this season. Some people say that what are these misses? He's not scoring. He's missing sitters. On the other hand, people are saying that okay, in so many games he's got so many assists and so many goals. How can you call it a drought? But if you see how important these misses are, it one of those shots from Jesse Lingard could have just flown in. One deflection could have just gone in, and then that Timo Werner finish would not have been as important as it was. The one he scored, the miss would have been more important. Even though, like Maman said, they won the game, they won 1-0, but he remembers the miss more than the goal. That's
Mm.
just you can't have a player of that quality miss like that, which is why I think it's going to hurt Chelsea because he'll give you the odd goal here and there. Zuma, Rudiger might step up with the odd goal here and there. Pulisic had, a phase where he had 3 goals in 2 games. Ziyech will give you the odd goal, but where is the consistency in the goal scoring? The consistent player is Mason Mount in creating chances, making runs, covering distance, doing probably everything. But where is the consistent goal scoring? Where is the game where you will score more than 2? Chelsea has not scored more than 2 under Tuchel, but they've conceded 5 versus West Brom. So that
Mm.
can be something to worry about because if a team like West Brom can take the game to them and score 5, I think if they come across a City or even an Arsenal for that matter, whatever form they're in, and Arsenal is still an Arsenal and it's a derby, so they will. It's a different ball game altogether. I just feel that Chelsea might just lose that edge, and probably West Ham or Spurs or Liverpool or even for that matter Everton might just edge them for that 4th place.
I was not surprised Lingard didn't score because I just bought him in my team. So
You are the culprit. It is you.
The Marmin
You
curse
are the
continues.
culprit. There was Paul the octopus, and then there's Mamin the snake.
Anyways,
A wolf thrashing at the Molineux by the hands of the big New Zealander. Carl, you spoke about him many times. You want to elaborate?
I wasn't expecting this. I mean, I never expected Chris Wood masterclass, but you know what? Credit where credit is due. The man played fantastically. He scored a hat trick, got an assist as well. Like he's unstoppable right now. I mean, he's the first Kiwi to score a Premier League hat trick. I think he's Burnley's all-time PL top scorer. So he's just going from strength to strength. I wasn't really expecting a 4-goal thrashing. I was expecting at least Wolves to give something or the other, even though I know that they lack the firepower. But yeah, man, like it was complete blitzkrieg by Burnley.
We'll get to Chris Wood stats where I have this entire piece of about Chris Wood. But Mamin, the other side, Wolves, they're having an absolute shocker of a season. And
like
whereas you will know better because Liverpool loses a Van Dijk, they have a shocker. Wolves have lost Jimenez, and it has created such a big gap in their season.
like what surprised me the most was when I was watching the game. Like Burnley were at it. Like they Wolves couldn't cope, and it like if you remove the name Burnley, it felt like Wolves were playing a big team. Like I was pretty stunned watching that. That very rarely happened, especially against the Burnley side. So I couldn't really understand why that was happening. I think like losing Jimenez shouldn't affect the team as much because he's like your striker. But overall, the midfield was just taken apart.
And they have an experienced midfield. But again, speaking of midfield, the baby oiled assassin getting away with that red card, that was close.
At a time when like I said, we just discussed the Balbuena incident. And then you look at Adama Traore's incident, you're just scratching your head and wondering what are they smoking up in that VAR office. I thoroughly felt that Adama Traore deserved a red card. I know how Maman feels. How do you feel, Maman?
It's definitely a red, man. What to say? Now I'm fed up of talking about VAR and all that goes with it. So I'm just going to leave it at a red. That's about it.
But no, like Burnley gave Wolves a proper thrashing. And like, I said we will come to the Chris Wood stats, which is he is the second Burnley player to score a Premier League hat-trick, the first Burnley player to score a Premier League away hat-trick. He is the top scorer, Burnley's record scorer, like you mentioned, first New Zealander to score a Premier League hat-trick. And his last 6 contributions, and I say this with pride because he did nothing against Man United, but he had a goal versus Arsenal, a goal versus Everton, a goal and an assist versus Southampton, an assist versus Newcastle, and of course, taking Wolves to the cleaners. So, Burnley surprisingly played football on the ground. You usually associate Burnley with the aerial football. Westwood with an absolute banger towards the end. Vidra is again hot and cold. He's poor man's Timo Werner, if you ask me, with his finishing. But good points for Burnley, helps them separate from the bottom. And yeah, probably coming closer to Arsenal on the table.
Our next fixture, what was hyped to be quite the fixture, because I kind of hyped it thinking that, they have that old rivalry. Turned out to be a drab 0-0 draw. Leeds hosting Manchester United. Rahul, as the Manchester United man, what is your take on this game?
My lips are sealed. I got bored, dude. I was like, Leeds, open midfield, they leave a lot of gaps and they go on this attacking spree. But I also said that this is the worst time I would want to face Leeds after they've got a point against Liverpool and they beat City. So they're on a good run and seems like the new giant killer. Like Bielsa's on this mission where he's like, I'm going to end this season on a high. I'm going to make sure I'm not bottom half of the table. And they played like that. It's not like they didn't trouble United. Yes, they did trouble United. They did get a good save out of the goalkeeper. And United, I think, except for that Bruno chance, nothing really much to talk about, honestly. It was a very blandish game in the middle. But compared to the two of you giving me shit offline, we can still afford that point. Y'all can't. We know we're not winning the title. We know we're not coming third. So we're well established. So a point won't do us too much harm. We don't have too many big games to go. So hopefully, get a couple of more wins and establish that. But yeah, for all the hype, for all the history behind the game, it was quite an anticlimax of sorts.
Well, there has to be an appreciation for Elian Melia, the goalkeeper of Leeds. He's apparently the youngest goalkeeper in the Premier League to cross 10 clean sheets. So clearly, Bielsa has found his goalkeeper. He believes in him, even though he does tend to have the howler at every other game. Marmin, do you think that this Manchester United team is still strong enough to push further? Or will they win their next couple of games? Or are they just
He's going to say no, bro.
Will not push further, but I would say, are they going to play the same kind of football? Because, it works in some cases, and some cases it doesn't. And you really have to give credit to a team like Leeds, where Calvin Phillips was just running riot throughout the whole game. He tried his level best in terms of most recoveries, most duels won, most tackles made. And there are a few more other things added to that list.
What I'll give. No, finish. Sorry.
No. Carry on. You were.
So what I give this United team is that they're really good when they go a goal down. So they don't give up, and I've seen them come back so many times. And it's pretty much what I expect. I was a little disappointed with the game, though. It was very disappointing. But at the same time, United coming back was pretty expected. Pretty expected.
Yeah, well, kudos to United. Again, it's a point earned for them. It's a point earned for Leeds.
2-2 at Villa Park between Aston Villa and West Brom. I think Villa will be the happier team here.
Yeah, I think so. They were pretty much a lot more lucky on the attack, I would say. It was unfortunate about the Tyrone Mings' own goal. Credit to West Brom though. They did try and creep back into the game. They did take the lead and stuff like that. But Aston Villa, I think, again, as being the attacking team that they are, will be really happy with the point that they got.
West Brom are looking good, huh? No?
Yeah, and
West Brom are looking.
But West Brom, again, bad result for them because they got a point and Burnley ran away with 3. So that gap keeps getting bigger and bigger. But Marmin, what do you think of Villa without Grealish? Because this is the same team that beat y'all 7-1.
Man. It just had to, it caught me off guard. But Grealish is a star. I don't have really like words to describe how talented he is, but he is a very unique player. Like usually English players are not really built like that, and I don't think they can cope without him. Like clearly they're struggling. Like when he was there, he was fit. These guys were pushing for fourth. The second he got injured, they're like mid-table now. So it's all in Grealish.
And huge shout out to Johnston in goal for West Brom. But again, before we end the segment, will West Brom escape?
I always back Sam. So yeah.
He is the escape artist, and he is getting results out of the matches compared to what West Brom was. I'd like to see West Brom survive, although the next coming weeks are going to be very detrimental to them. But yeah, I guess it's a test of their mettle. And another spicy affair, Leicester City coming up trumps against the rather resurgent Crystal Palace 2-1, and it was spicy thanks to that man, Elaichi Ahianacho.
He's too good, bro. He's just unstoppable. He's going through a phase where, it's like when Diego Forlan was at United and he had that phase where he just could not stop scoring. Iheanacho just cannot stop scoring. And I think all of this credit has to go to Brendan Rodgers. He was in the squad. He wasn't starting him. Then he started starting him when Vardy was injured. And now he's kept him there even though Vardy is back. And he is delivering, and how? Goal and an assist in the last game. After going 1-0 down, Crystal Palace, no prizes for guessing who scored their goal. But yeah, that was probably their only chance. Your Milivojevic didn't really do too much in the game in terms of controlling midfield. But again, Leicester, without an informed Harvey Barnes, they had, without a James Justin, who had been such an important part of their season, they bring in Luke Thomas on the left. They have Castagna, who, he got his first goal at the King Power, and it was an absolute belter. Again, set up by who? Iheanacho. He is probably, for me, he is their Mahrez from the title-winning season. That left foot of his it's a wand as of now. The form he's in. Like you can see Vardy missing chances, but this boy is just putting it in, day out. So and in terms of Crystal Palace, Eze and Zaha, apart from these two, there was nothing. Like, what do you feel?
I thought it was the first time I watched Leicester, and Vardy wasn't the main man. Like, I just felt like it was all Iheanacho. Like, it was him who's going to pull them out of this. Get them that winner, get them the 3 points, almost like kind of secure top 4 for these guys. Like, I was pretty surprised. Like, usually Vardy for how many years has been their go-to guy, and seeing this guy do it, I just credit Brendan for it.
Yeah, I mean, Brendan Rodgers has done an absolute, he's done wonders with this team. The team he had, the injuries he had in the beginning of the season where he was short of centre-backs, NDD played there, then he lost NDD. He lost Maddison in the middle, he lost Harvey Barnes, he lost Pratt, he lost Perez, he brought in Albrighton. Cengiz Under, probably we spoke about him very early on in the season. He's not even featured as much. Fofana's back, Soyuncu's back. Yeah. Pereira is back. So
he's kind of banning players who are breaking COVID rules. So he's still getting results. So
he's still getting results, and he's well established at third, and probably, hopefully, and I wish the best for him that he doesn't miss out on Europe like he did last season.
Well, it's been an exciting week of football, and I, for one, was pretty happy, even though being an Arsenal fan, it kind of ruined a lot of things. But it's been really nice to have Mamin and Rahul with me right now to have this little get together, and we'll probably see you in the next week. A little shout out to Alan Shearer and Thierry Henry for being the first ever inductees of the Premier League Hall of Fame. And congratulations to Watford FC for being the second team being promoted to the Premier League for next season.
Thank you, Mamin. Also, guys, do not forget to like, share, subscribe, follow us on Instagram, and stay safe.
Pew, pew.
Peace.